Folks ask me all the time about meal planning. I've always been a meal planner, even before we went to a low carb, high fat, or ketogenic diet. But meal planning becomes even more important when you're starting a new lifestyle. When I meal plan, there are a couple of things I do. First, I always ask my family if there's something in particular they want for the upcoming week. I ask them if there's a favorite recipe or something that they really want. The other thing I do is I check to see what's on sale. And sales run usually for grocery stores from Wednesday until Tuesday. So Wednesday, when the ads come out, I look to see what's on sale in terms of meat and produce, and I meal plan around what's on sale. I also shop my freezer because I usually stock up when things are on sale. So I always shop my freezer to see what kinds of things to get from there first. Then I look at our schedule for the upcoming week. Most of the time I'm home by 5:15, 5:30, and my husband gets home around 6. I try really hard to make sure that dinner's on the table by 6 when he comes home. Otherwise, we don't have a lot of time with our family. So the easiest way to show you how I meal plan is to simply give you an example of a week. I looked through the sales paper for our local store, and I noticed there weren't a lot of meats on sale, but there were some decent produce buys. I only know that because I spend a lot of time figuring out what the best prices are for things. So I went to the store and I went to my freezer, and here's what's on our menu for the upcoming week. First of all, ground beef. This is 73% lean. It's a 3-pound chub. What I'll do with this is I'll split it in half, and I'll have different meals from that. When I split it in half, I'll use 1.5 pounds with probably 2/3 of a head of cabbage to make crack slaw. Crack slaw is a favorite. It's something that can be prepped ahead of time, so it's a great weeknight meal. When I work with the cabbage on Sunday, usually Sunday's my prep day, I'll chop it up. I'll use about 1/3 of it to make coleslaw, and I'll use the other 2/3 to make crack slaw. And I can do another video on the crack slaw recipe, but basically it's like an Asian dish. The other 1.5 pounds, so remember, 1.5 pounds of this plus probably 2/3 of this is going to be crack slaw. I'm going to make coleslaw with the other 1/3, and the other 1.5 pounds of this, I'll make burgers, just plain burgers. And these burgers are great for lunches or for a meal. It's something the kids can warm up on their own. I can take it to work, put some cheese and bacon with it, and that's a great meal to take anywhere. So half burger, half crack slaw, coleslaw meals. All right, this was in my freezer. These are boneless pork chops that I found a really great price on. Love working with pork chops because I can do two things with them. If it's a busy week, I can put them in the crock pot with some seasonings. I like to do a marinade with balsamic vinegar, coconut oil, or balsamic vinegar and bacon fat, and garlic, maybe some other seasonings, and then I can bake it in the oven. I can pan fry it. One of my favorite things to do with it is make chicken mud. My daughter loves this, and she named it chicken mud because it makes a gravy that looks like mud. Basically, you pan fry the pork chops, get them browned on each side, take them out, make a gravy with cream cheese, heavy cream, some balsamic vinegar, and other seasonings. Put the pork or put the meat back in the gravy and let it simmer until it's all nice and tender. So this will either be pork chop mud, or it will be in the crock pot, depending on my time, or it will be marinated and baked. Again, it all depends on what activities we have going on during the week. Another really super easy thing, and I did this in my freezer shopping, is a steak. Now these happen to be chuck-eye steaks. You could also use New York strip or ribeye, whatever your favorite steaks are. Super, super easy. These are gonna thaw out. I'm gonna get my cast iron skillet, get it super, super hot, throw some bacon grease in there. Love bacon grease. Sear them on each side, get them nice and tender. That's another meal. Now I'm gonna serve vegetables with these, and I'll show you some of the veggie sides I'll be doing along with it, but the meat really is the centerpiece for most of our meals. The other thing that I'm gonna do is I keep barbecue in my fridge. Now, sometimes it's a pork shoulder that my husband has smoked. We chop it up, we freeze the leftovers in a Ziploc bag. This happens to be from Holt Lake Barbecue in eastern North Carolina, one of my husband's favorites. We had this left over, and so I froze it in these containers, these ready containers that I bought at Amazon. Super easy. I'll pull 2 of these out of the freezer. If I have forgotten a meal or something's popped up or we have somebody extra coming for dinner, I can pull this out of the freezer, put it in a pan, put some broth or some water, put the lid on it, warm it, steam it, it's done. And again, if I've made coleslaw, I've got leftover coleslaw to put with it. And one of the the other meat I have pulled out, and this is again super easy. This is a staple I always have in hand. This is called Steakies, but it's really cheesesteak. There's Steak-umm. There's several different brands. I really like this one because it doesn't seem to have fillers. Put this in my cast iron skillet, let it cook on both sides, chop it up. While it's cooking, I chop up a bell pepper, an onion. I always have cheese on hand, and so simply you can take a plate, put the Steakies on it with a pepper, the onion, some cheese, and you've got a very simple meal. Or it's really super easy to do in the morning to send for lunches. My daughter has a thermos, like a bowl, and I can put it in that bowl, make it fresh in the morning, throw it in the bowl, put the lid on it, and she really does enjoy that for lunch. The last meat I have is some round steak. Now this was on sale. You can see it was a special today. I'll cut it into strips. I got 2 of them because my family really does enjoy this. So I got 2 of them. Total cost was about $10. I'll cut them into strips and I'll marinate it. I'll marinate it in lime juice and cumin, and it's a Mexican recipe. And then I'll make fajitas. Again, another bell pepper and another onion. I'll probably have to pick an onion up. I may actually have another one in the cabinet. But I'll make fajitas. Now, what will I serve with fajitas? I can do cauli rice because I have a cauliflower. So part of this could go as cauli rice with my fajitas. Or I could do just some ugly green beans. Ugly green beans are my husband's favorite. Ugly green beans are where you toss this in some fat, coconut oil, or bacon grease, roast it in the oven about 375, 400. They get ugly and brown, and they're very tasty. Oh, don't forget to salt and pepper them. There are cheaper versions in the pack I got, but I really like the pack I can simply wash without doing a lot of trimming and just throw in the oven while other things are happening. So that's another vegetable I can do. With the steaks or with the pork, I could do some bacon wrapped asparagus. Asparagus was on sale, so I bought some of that. It's one of my husband's favorite. Again, I can roast it in the oven in a way very similar to how I roast the green beans. Or I can wrap 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4. These are pretty thick, so 3 or 4 spears at a time. I can wrap with a piece of bacon and bake that, and makes a really yummy side. I can also just throw it in a skillet and saute it in coconut oil and bacon fat. So that's another really easy veggie. Romaine lettuce. This is hearts of romaine. There are 3 in a package, and it's usually about $3 a pack. This is organic, and it was on sale for $2.99 this week. I can use that for a simple salad. So that can go with the steaks. It can go with any of the meats, really. I usually have canned chicken, canned salmon. I can throw that with a salad for lunches or for a meal if I need it. The other thing I have on hand is spinach. And the spinach is wonderful because I can use it for a fresh salad. I can saute it. I always keep real crumbled bacon, so I saute it, throw this at the end, and it's a great side. Another thing I can do is make creamed spinach, and that's why I have 2 of these, because you know when you cook spinach down, it gets very small. So I can do